transforming lives. Your transformation starts here.
Welcome to Transforming Lives. I'm your host, Tony Kimball. And right now, what I need you to do is stop. Share this with a educational buddy. Share this with a friend. I'm excited about my next guest. This is a new season. There are some new eyes that are going to be on this particular podcast. So, hey, share it with a friend. Go ahead and like this. Go ahead and subscribe to it because there's going to be transformational. This is the hub for transformational education. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and say it so you can get it between your ears right here. So listen, I rarely have time. In this particular season of my life, I have time. And one day, I happened to see on LinkedIn a particular webinar. I rarely get to go to webinars, and I like to learn. And I saw this webinar, and I said, you know what? I'm going to check it out. It seems as though it's something about transformation. And, you know how you sign up for stuff, and then they send you the invite, and you're like, man, I'm supposed to get on there. Well, for me, I was like, you know what? I'm getting on here. And listen, when I started, the information that was being passed through that particular platform, you when you hear transformation, like you hear it. It's not like a goosebump thing, like transformation. And my next guest, guys, I'm glad I ran across this particular school district, this superintendent, because when you talk about transformation, I'm going to say this right now. Transformation is not for the weak, okay? Don't take it personal. It's not for those that don't feel like they're called to it. When you talk about transformation, you want to make sure that you have a focused mind, not only a focused mind, but you got a team. And that team is going to help you get to that dream. Well, guys, I'm going to do an introduction, but this gentleman is dynamic. I'm just going to do my due diligence, right? And let you know who's my next guest is. My next guest is Dr. Daryl Henson. And when I tell you a leader in educational transformation, since taking the role of superintendent of Marlin Independent School District in 2020, listen, Dr. Henson's bold leadership has driven unprecedented success. Watch, listen. We're talking about taking a district that was 10 years of struggling ratings, failing, to a remarkable academic score of 86, right? And you're like, what's 80? 86 is a B, right? And then we're not talking about just school grades. When you talk about a whole district, that's a different perspective. Marlin earned the state and national recognition. Now, his dedication to culture, curriculum, and community has reunited school pride and boost student achievement. Now, he was named the Region 12 Superintendent of the Year. He's a finalist for the State Superintendent of the Year award. He's top 4 now, So join us as we dive into my next guest. Welcome to the stage, Dr. Daryl J. Henson. Welcome,
I would say, Tony, thank you for having me. And that introduction, goodness gracious. Brother, I sound a little bit better than actually what's going on tomorrow. No, but it's a blessing to join you. It's definitely a blessing to be here. And once again, thank you to the audience and to yourself as well.
All right. Thank you very much. And for you taking out the time, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock for a superintendent is a time you want to take a breath. So I appreciate you allow him to come on this particular show. So we're gonna jump right into this because when we talk about transformation, my first thing is, what inspired you to step into a leadership role in education?
My journey to education really started in the 3rd grade. I always wanted to be a teacher. I was that student who wanted to grab the chalk or grab the expo marker and actually break down and explain the concepts. I remember sitting at a table with my peers, and back in the 90s, it was those quads at the table. And so I'm getting the lesson. I understand what's going on, but my 3 table mates they couldn't tell you left from right. And one of them was my cousin. Now, maybe along the grandma line, things got a little bit different. But I noticed that as they struggled with concepts and I understood, I would lean over and whisper and tell them, you add the fraction like this. And when they got it, it brought them joy, but also it brought me joy. Then the next day, we're multiplying fractions. I lean over and I whisper, and now I'm showing the example. So here I am as an 8-year-old child who's just loving to break down and show. But I'll admit, it was rooted kind of in a selfish way because the teacher said, you all cannot go out to recess until everyone at the table has completed. So Tony, only after about a week of me sitting there bored, I said, no, because at 8, I still like to hoop. Like, let's be honest. So I got up and I taught them. So after a while, we were the first ones out. And I think that's when the teacher bug kind of bit me. But when it comes to leadership, yes, leadership is natural, but leadership is also a skill. And we cannot just lean on natural abilities without wanting to develop the skill. And for me, education is loving and treating other people's children like your own. So I want to make sure that if I'm going to lead children, if I'm going to lead adults, I have to be the model. And it's a lot of people speak about the change that they want to see. But when it comes time to step in and make the change, they sit back. I'm all about that action. And so I really wanted to just be a part of the solution, work within communities of children that may or may not look like me, but just know that Michael Jackson had it right, or Whitney Houston, the children are the future. Someone said it. Stevie Wonder, someone sang the song.
All of them saying
all of them. And so I really want to make sure that I did my part in preparing our future of what's to come tomorrow.
Absolutely. To hear you talk about, you laid it out right there, but I got to go back. My background is math. And for you to say fractions in 3rd grade, that's a different breed, right?
Math teacher as well. I was a math teacher as well.
Okay. All right. So so now I gotta get my mind together now. 3rd grade, only math people like fractions in any grade.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So hearing that book hit you in 3rd grade, this idea that you saw on, how to push others forward, even at that young age, my next question to you is, how has that journey transformed, your life and your work? You kind of alluded to it some in the previous conversation, but talk about it a little bit more.
And this is just in full honesty and full sincerity. Being raised in a very Christian household, having examples of grandmothers and mothers and fathers, well, mother and father singular, that had the spirit of service in their heart. You just could not go to church and sit down. You were to always participate, whether you were in the choir, whether you were on the usher board, whether you were a junior deacon, whether you helped ran Vacation Bible School. It's always been a spirit of service. And so teaching to me is truly about service. Some love the jargon and the phrases of servant leadership, and I'll talk about that later on. But take away the coolness of the phrase. It is how can you utilize your God-given gifts to impact someone's life, whether you make it better, make it different. Because Roosevelt Niven says, educators, great leaders, we have the power to change the trajectory of children's lives. And we have to take that and we have to mean that. And so it's transformed my life because I have dedicated my life to this service, my life to this work. And so that's the reason why I think that I don't get tired. Whenever you come to a place like Marlin ISD, where it has failed academically for so long, this life becomes your work. Kobe Bryant even said, there's no work-life balance. There's no balance whenever you're trying to be great. And I think in education, our greatness is dependent upon what our children output. I don't work at Best Buy. I don't sell Samsung TVs. I work in education. So I have an obligation, I have a responsibility to make sure that every child, or let's be frank, The vast majority, because we got all means all, yeah, all means all, but some are some, but some are some.
All right, yeah.
But the vast majority are getting it, and the vast majority are being successful. So it's transformed my life in a way to where it's not about me. It's bigger than me. It's not about a handful of adults, but it is about every child, and all of the children that we come in contact with.
Oh, absolutely. So hearing those words, if anybody mentions Kobe's name, I'm gonna go a little left right here. You got to be about that life, because Kobe was he was a focused player, and he was relentless. And when you talk about making that change, I'm finding this common theme that you think differently. You don't think like everybody else. And it's a discomfort to some, but necessary for transformation. Hearing you.
It's a major discomfort. But I think the sad part is the fact that my thought process is different. There is no balance to greatness. There's a quote. And so I believe in subscribing to the knowledge bank of Instagram memes and Twitter memes. I will TikTok my way through life.
Right. Yeah.
But the one thing that I saw on Instagram, and it hit me hard and it spoke to me as a leader and as an educator, you can either produce excellence or you can avoid criticism, but you cannot do both.
Ooh.
And when I read that, I said, you know what? People are going to talk about me regardless until they put me in the ground, until I'm going up yonder.
Yeah.
To be with my Lord. They're going to talk about me regardless, but as long as I'm here and there's other people's children in front of me that I have to serve, that I have to lead, that I have to educate, you have to be excellent. The hardest thing to be in life is consistent.
Mm-hmm.
My hashtag is committed to excellence. And it's an every single day thing. Excellence is the only option in Marlin ISD. You have to become allergic to average. And I just don't have these Jesse Jackson one-liners, these TD Jakes moments. It's a true in the way in which we live. It is the only option. And I think that we have began to accept mediocrity and we're still talking about turn around school, turn around. I almost had a different word, but goodness, shouldn't we be busy by now? We've been turning around forever. Yeah. And so you have to get to a point of being a leader of extreme focus who is okay with being disruptive, who is not going to apologize for being disruptive. Because last time I checked, I'm 54-0 in grievances. I'm the Floyd Mayweather of grievances, because I'm never going to break a policy. Yeah. I'm going to follow the law. We're going to do things the right way. But if it causes discomfort, because rules might want to be bent somewhere, or you want us to turn a blind eye. Oh, no. Children can and will succeed. And as an adult, you have, once again, an obligation, because you make sure that I'm obliged to make sure that direct deposit hits on time.
Right. Absolutely.
To our children as well.
Right. No, this is powerful. This is the conversations that I think that are beneficial for schools to move forward, because when you talk about excellence, you are going to sacrifice something. It's just what it is. There's just no other way. If you do it any other way, it's going to be a problem. It is. So we've kind of got into our next question. See, I want to stay right there, but I got to keep it moving. But can you share, specific moments of transformation that took place at your school, and what key principles? Because you alluded to it right now. What strategies? What's happening behind success? Because everybody wants success. We put it on a T-shirt.
Yeah.
But do you want to invest the sweat equity to make that happen?
I mean, there's a cost to leadership, and I know sometimes I can be long-winded, especially when I'm talking about Marlin ISD, because the work done by our children and by our faculty, it is second to none. The Washington Post tried to mock us and call it a miracle, the next Texas miracle, but I really believe it truly is a miracle. But if I'm talking about that transformation, going from 10 years of failure to an 86 rating within 2 years, 10 years, it takes me a short time to say the word 10 years. But if you think about how long a decade is, 3,650 days. Coming into a district, that means only your juniors and seniors have been a part of anything that was successful, and that's when they were in the first and second grade. So we have to make sure that we got our faculty and staff, and not a lot of staff want to come work in Marlin. We are one of the few remaining predominantly African-American districts here in Texas. So we couldn't just let go of our teachers. I said, no. We're going to train those who are here. We're going to train those who are committed to Marlin ISD. And we did that. We made sure that everyone felt like they were on a true journey with the peer, because it's easier to do something with somebody. I'm a millennial. We grew up playing outside. We grew up playing at the YMCA. We know teamwork. We understand the notion of it's bigger than just one person or two. It truly takes that hallway. It is that village. And then ultimately, we had to make sure that educators knew that they were making a difference. Now, one phrase that I believe in, I'm trying to give you this one answer in a short amount of time frame, is that losers have goals and winners have systems. So everything had to become systematic. And now we're talking about the 5-prong approach. We are a school system. So number one, most important lever, the quality of instruction. Stop playing with instruction. And I'll call it what it is. As a younger African-American leader, they think that we're good to just be coaches. Man, please, I am a legit high school and middle school math teacher. I will Y equal MX plus B on your behind and don't twice about it. And don't come to one of my PLCs. I will P the L and the C to you. So the quality of instruction has to be at the highest level. Number two, student achievement. If we're going to compete in whatever we're doing, we have to win the gold. So athletically, we will win. Fine arts, the band, we better toot them horns. We will win. FFA, we're out here in the country. You better show them pigs, cows, and goats at the level. And of course, culture and pride. In Marlin, Texas, we have a lot of pride. But now let's make sure that we envelop that culture to put it in the right direction, to where our love is not only just sports, but it truly is the whole child. It's the whole school experience. So it's driven by pride and committed by excellence. Then, as a leader, now I'm on number 4. As a leader, I have one main job. It's clarity. Everyone in the building, in the community, at the grocery store has to know what the district stands for. So when you come in, it's no confusion. So as a leader, I'm very clear. Within 5 minutes, everyone knows that brother ain't playing and he believes in instruction. Extreme clarity, and then support of the expectations. And then, as I said earlier, the last one, we turned around Marlin ISD because everyone had to, and frankly, you were forced to have a mindset shift. You will become allergic to average. And focusing in on these 5 pillars, we began that shift from potential to performance. I believe the word potential is a curse word, because potential is coulda, shoulda, woulda. Oh, you could be great. I don't have time for could. We have to make you great. And sometimes you can will people to do things. Leadership is synonymous with influence. And how great of an influencer are you? And stop talking about potential. I don't want to hear about potential. I only want to hear about performance, because frankly, in common terms, I don't care what you could be. I know what you are, and it's our job to make you better.
Whew, sir.
I was trying to give it to you.
I really don't care about time. Listen, I don't care about you being long-winded, because these are conversations I love to have. And I want to go back, and I'm gonna try to pick a little bit. But sir, we ain't worried. If you got time, I got time. I got a football game.
My favorite phrase: I got time today.
I got to be at a football game at 6. I'm good. I promise you I'm good. It's 5-10 minutes away. I'm good. Get on the radios. I'm good. Let me back up with the statement about, because what I notice is, I'm a former football coach. I'm a former, I love defense. I was a defensive coordinator.
Yes, sir.
And the thing about it was that I was at a very small school, I don't even think, folks laugh at us. I think we had 100 kids in the whole, 200 in the whole district, I think. I don't even know if we had that many. But what we ran into was that we had to have groups. We had to put these groups together football-wise, because we knew, okay, well, how good is this freshman group? How good is this sophomore group? We had to put them out on the field early.
Yes.
Because if we didn't, We got 5 seniors. So we had to play them. And at one point it clicked for me. It was like, this is the same thing. Education. You have to look at your pods. What's happening in this grade level right here? What's happening with your 3rd grade? What's happening with your 4th grade? And so on and so on. If you don't begin to have a laser focus on this particular grade, okay, maybe they're struggling with, whatever. We got to get in the PLC to make a difference here. Yeah. So when you begin to talk about that, it's just something begin to rumble in me like, man, you have to build a team, and you have to build this culture and this pride within grade levels that, hey, we're the grade level that brought this school out. We're the grade level that has the highest Algebra 1 score. We're the grade level. It's this mindset. I know I got you on, but you got me talking, man. I like to do.
It just comes down to caring. How much do you care? Are you about the talk or are you about the action? Because sometimes it's not good enough to love. You have to actually like. Mm-hmm. And they think, well, I thought that love was above like. No, sometimes in education, yes, I can love the children, but do you like them every single day? Do you like them enough to make sure that you are enjoyable around them? So now when I hire people, Tony, I hire people, first of all, that have tenacity. I don't want to hear about passion. Yeah, passion to me is hype. Oh, I'm passionate. No, I need tenacity. I need to know that you will burn the midnight oil, because passion goes home at 4:00, but tenacity doesn't. Next thing is you have to have a heart for children. I just spoke about like and love. You actually have to sit up here and say, as a big person, I will put myself aside. I will be talked about. I will be on the news. I will get sued. I will do all these things if it means children can and will be better. Your heart for children has to be pure, but put those together and you must have the will to win. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So we speak about athletics and coaching. Same thing right here. As a coach, I'm going to make sure, no excuses, we are going to win. I already said student achievement. And so as a teacher, if I'm teaching you about a diphthong, a consonant blend, if I'm teaching you main idea or what is the author's purpose, we're going to win. You are going to understand at a different level. School improvement isn't rocket science. The problem is we don't have enough educators who actually care enough. And I will say this, and this could be the quote they run around the world. Superintendent said educators don't care enough. If they cared enough, we would not be in the situations in which we're in. And even though the word care is subjective, you have to care enough to want to learn, to want to increase your competency. Because you can care all day and, I buy them snacks and I take them home. That's good. That's good. But last time I checked, that this school is not a complete social work center. That's part of it, but we're also a school. So care enough to go home and plan your lessons. Be prepared for the next day. Have great classroom management with love.
Oh, it's important because I've worked in a lot of schools in Mississippi. You got your Mississippi Delta, you got North Mississippi, Central Mississippi, South, Middle. Here's what I'm sold on this. If a kid understands that you truly care about them, they will run through a wall.
Yes.
For you.
Yes.
And like you said, being consistent, just show up and provide them with a quality education. Those kids will go through the wall for you and succeed. Not just go through the wall, but will be successful at it. It's and to hear that, hearing that from Texas, and the goal of the podcast is just to have conversations like this, because a lot of times we don't get the opportunity to say what's happening in Texas. We hear it on the news, but a conversation like this I think is powerful.
Everything on the news not true. I'm just put that out there real quick. Everything on the news not true. But but you are totally right, and a lot just comes down to having a level of focus.
Yep.
And we have lost our way, I think, as a society, as people, as leaders who work in urban areas or leaders who work in areas that are more predominantly traditionally minority. And then even as minority leaders, we have lost, I think, our focus. This is just my observation, mine and mine only. Those of us who grew up in traditional African American households that were predominantly Christian, as a child, you have no voice. It is, I am the mother, I am the father, I am all knowing, I have the wisdom. If you even remotely have an opinion as a child, the fifth commandment is honor thy father and thy mother. So your days will be long upon the land. Like, wait, so if I have an opinion, I'm gonna die? I mean, no, it's true. And so,
Right, no facts.
And so children who aren't able to express themselves and think for themselves and have to always look for an answer become overly compliant. And it takes out down your confidence. Then you become a teen who is not confident, who can't think for themselves, and now you become an adult. To be a great educator, you have to have confidence. But guess what? Your confidence has been knocked down, even if it was unintentional or as did with what our parents thought was right. Your confidence has been knocked down to a level to where you are scared to try. You are scared to fail. You are scared to sit up here and say, I think this might be best for this child, but I want to wait and see what my principal says and my instructional coach says. As a teacher, you are the expert for those children in your classroom. And as long as you are aligned, I want you to try. And if you fail, that is okay. Out of all I've said in this past half hour, not one time have I mentioned perfection. Now, one time have I mentioned that it is not okay to try something for the betterment of your children in your classroom and it not come out as planned. You learn from it and then you keep going forward, because trying to me is caring.
So we're not going to skip over this whole part of when we talk about leadership from the perspective of youth, children. One of the hard things as a parent for me was I was used to that mind frame. Like I'm the daddy, and you finna do what I say. But what I found out was you're not developing a leader, you're developing a follower.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That is not going to make decisions when you're not around. I had to change the way I was with my sons and change the way that I was as an educator, because it was like, man, what am I talking about? It's a disconnect here, because if they're not performing or if they're not being leaders, I'm the problem. And that was a tough reality. You know, you have to build leaders. They're a lot of times we talk about leaders are born. No, they're developed over time.
Yes, it's a skill set. Yes, sir.
Yeah. We're gonna try.
And so I think, and you can still teach children to be respectful or operate within the boundaries of what you have. Right. So I have two children. I have a son and a daughter. And they are 5 months old, so they can't talk yet. They just drool a lot. Like, why is your mouth so juicy? I'm still trying to figure that out.
Oh,
it's all over the place. wipe your mouth, Junior.
Yeah, right.
But I'm going to be very mindful. Yes, there will be guidelines, structures, and rules. Right, but I'm not the all-knowing, because I'm going to have no clue what it means to be 15 years old in 2039. So I can't act like I know everything. I will have been 15 in 2039 for 0 minutes and 0 seconds. So it's going to come a time to where I'm going to have to trust them and trust the way in which I've raised them, the foundation on which I've built, and to say, when you make a mistake, when you make a bad decision, when you go, at least you can fall with the foundation of me here. So whenever you do leave the house, at whatever age that may be, whatever your next steps may be, not only do you have a strong foundation, you have experiences to where you were able to trust yourself as a person and experience, was it the right way? Was it the wrong way? So I brought that now to the school system. Anytime you're in a small town, The educators, they know the families. They actually are the godmothers and the aunts and the uncles. But I was very honest. We are not going to mother and father these children in that way. I mean, I probably give the best impression of my mother. I mean, I got it down to a T. But as I'm walking down the hallways of Marlin that first year, all I heard was that traditional, stereotypical mother, put it down. I said, no, the way that we're going to talk to them, we're going to talk to them like students and not like our niece and nephew. So I had to shift that mindset and let them know that questioning is healthy, but we have to model and show them, how do you remain respectful without just being a robot and doing everything we say the way we say. We have to break that mindset. I'll keep it real. I call it a slave mentality.
Ooh, I'm there. I'm for it.
You know, and they get shot. Ooh, yeah, I said slave. I did. 1861 slave. Yes. Reconstruction slave. I said it. Yes. And it is our job to make sure that we're not perpetuating that same mindset within our children and just doing all this. I'm the adult. I'm the teacher. I know, like, no, it doesn't work that way.
Ooh, sir, this is for me, this is a good conversation, because that's another layer for, you talk about teacher capacity. It's, can you establish leaders in your classroom? Going back to systems, do you have a system in your classroom? And do you have that kid? I mean, it was off topic. It took me a while to get this one. But giving kids assignments in class, of allowing them pass papers out. This is early on. Let me back up. This is early on. This is early on. I was looking at the internet and said, no, I wouldn't let them pass out the paper. No, I'm gonna pass it out. And those earlier years, those first 5 years, man, I was tired. And then someone said, give the kids a job. A job? No, I'm supposed to do everything in the classroom. Assign them UPS person. That person passes out paper. Tech person. And what I found out, and then something happened where I said, I'm going to have a manager. So the manager is now assigning the kids every week, because I got tired of assigning them every week, because they was like, Miss Campbell, can we be there? Go talk to the manager. And I put in this whole idea. I was like, well, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, you're going to get fired. Yes. And it was like, fired? I was like, this is real world. This is real. This is what, I get fired if I'm not doing my job. So to hear that's, it's not just motivation. It's just, it's good to hear that. Like, are you building leaders in your classroom? Man, so let's kind of move forward. I feel like you've kind of touched that other question. It's kind of the principles. We're kind of like, what obstacles did you face, during this transformation? Because this, I don't know if yours was easy or if it was a smooth road. And how did you keep applying those principles to help you overcome it?
So I would say it definitely has not been a smooth road. And the obstacles that you face are the vocal naysayers, the vocal negative people. And before anyone gets this misconstrued, everyone has the First Amendment right to say what they want to say. Right, yeah. But a lot of times that vocal negativity, first of all, it'll never impact me as an adult, because like I already passed the 4th grade. But that vocal negativity impacts the children. It impacts the 4th graders. It impacts the 7th graders. It impacts the 13-year-olds. It impacts your sophomores. And so whenever you have vocal negativity and vocal naysayers from the community, it now brings in that cloud of, well, is this okay what they're doing? Is the change moving in the right direction? Should we be doing this? When you're in a place that needs so much turnaround, you will hope that people will see, no, we need everyone on board with where we're going. And so the reason why I say it's an obstacle as it relates to the vocal naysayers is because now you have to make sure that you're doubling down and time is spent on reassurance. Right. Yes. Now I have to reassure and show our children, reassure and show our staff that things are happening the right way. We are doing things the right way, but there's still only 24 hours in a day. So the time that is spent reassuring, which clearly is needed in that moment, is not time spent stretching the goal, strategizing, pushing. And so that's why I think it's highly important that as communities, we find ways to come together and support and be less divisive. You don't have to always agree with the person. But by no means do I expect for any leader, any teacher, any coach to be agreed with 100% of the people they serve. It's never going to happen.
Right.
But I think that if you are that person who wants to be an obstacle, cause an obstacle, there's a way in which you express your discontent because it's only impacting and affecting children. And I wish that they saw that. I wish that they would see that. So that's really is the main obstacle because, but let's keep it real. We kept hitting people over the head with just consistent greatness. And I told my leaders, and I said this to all of my teachers, in the words of Deion Sanders, I want for your confidence in that classroom to offend people. I want for you to walk, chin up, back straight. I want for our children to know who they are. I want them to walk around and gloat that they can now do fractions in the third grade.
Right. Yeah.
Because the noise is there, the obstacles are there. But not only when you're great, not only when you're being great, but when you're speaking about your greatness, do it. Because people will tell you, oh, be humble. Let others celebrate you. I tell this all the time to my fifth graders. If you made an A or a B, you tell the world. Don't be quiet about that. I say all the time to my kids in middle school, if you made the basketball team, if you made first or second chair in the band, if you made the dance team, if your science fair project came third in county, I don't want you to be quiet about it. I want you to tell the world. And so we're building that confidence, that self-confidence to be able to combat a lot of the negativity.
Oh, man. I'm going to be respectful of your time, but I really want to step right there because if you don't build their confidence, saying it's okay, put your head up, keep your head up, look people in the eye. Don't be looking down.
At all.
Like, look them in the eye. You're supposed to be there. You're supposed to be successful, and that's what it is. Like, you going back to what you said earlier, you're like, there's no options right here. This is excellence. And it's okay for you to be excellent. There's no question about it, no doubt about it. And if somebody says something different, then, I need to step in at that point. Correct. I'm sorry. Let me come back. All right, let's go.
Yes, sir. I totally agree. And excellent in the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. Excellent. And even in the way you present yourself, how you dress. We're not doing bonnets and do-rags. We're not doing all that around here. We're not. Well, my hair's not done. Okay, well, get the hot comb, go down to cosmetology real quick, and they put in a little curl or something. But I need for you to make sure that you are presentable in a way, because we're told by our parents with love, your appearance doesn't matter, but the world will judge you by your appearance. And so if I'm going to fill your brain with all this academic knowledge, if I'm going to fill your heart with all this confidence and love, I have to make sure that I'm filling your outside to match what's in your brain, what's in your heart.
This is good stuff. Those that are listening, make sure if you're at this point of the podcast, make sure you stop, share this with a listener, because this is something that is not, of course, you got research, but you get all that jargon and it sounds good to everybody. It makes you look good. But when the rubber meets the road, a kid doesn't know Maslow. They don't know anything about it. They don't care about it. They want to know, can you help me get out of this class? That's and be successful. That's what they care about. That's what teachers care about. That's what the ministry. Can you help me to be successful? That's basically what it is. We're close to kind of closing this out right here. We got one more question, and we're going to hit the 2-minute warning, and we're going to be out of here. What additional transformation do you envision? You've dropped what I call a lot of life gems. Hope and encouragement for your week. What are some things that moving forward that's happening for you and Marlin ISD?
Yeah. So our main things have been centered around a handful of principles. One, we want to maintain our 100% graduation rate. And we really want to make sure that your diploma is worth more than the paper that it is printed on. That you have a skill set, that you graduate in the right way, that you meet all requirements, that you're coming to school on time the first time, and that whenever you hit the door, you are prepared for life with academics, life skills, soft skills, social skills, the whole nine. Then our facilities, the facilities in Marlin ISD, to put it in at best, they were horrible. And when it rained inside the building. I wish that we were in Southern California because it never rains but it rains in Marlin, Texas, and it rains inside the building.
Right. Yeah.
Our track had holes in it. Our football stadium, nothing wrong with the grass field, but it was more of a hay field and had a big crown. The press box, you couldn't pay me to go up there. The facilities were dilapidated. And I mentioned that the upkeep and renovation and new building of facilities is 100% on the community. And so we passed the bond in 2022. We are excited to look forward to be completed with all of our projects by this summer. Renovated stadium, new 2-level press box, turf field, brand new track, completely gutted and renovated high school with office spaces, classrooms, science labs, CTE, vocational spaces that are going to be the best in the county, if not the entire region. So that's where we're headed here in the future. And it's happening right here in Marlin, Texas, a community that everyone laughed about, a community that everyone talked about, a community that everyone made jokes about. But one thing is, we stayed focused. And even sometimes our own people were the ones who caused the problems. Here in Marlin, if we talk about the future and transformation, for some people in Marlin, their first thing is when there was an issue, call the news. I'm thinking to myself, if you have a concern, why won't you call the school, call the teacher, call the principal, call the superintendent? And I have to show them very quickly, no amount of social media or media pressure is ever going to change one thing that I do as it relates to policy, guidelines, expectations, and where we're headed. And so I envision continued greatness, to continue shining the light on our children, on our students, and on our faculty and staff, because they work hard here in the district. And I think it's my job just to support them. I'll leave you all with this. If you don't want to lead, then don't become a leader. You cannot pray your way to success. Sometimes you got to write folk up, because leaders who are effective are disruptive. Absolutely. And we just can't overly focus on support. We can't overly focus on accountability. It has to be a balance of support and accountability. And that's the way not only do you make change, but you sustain change. And you know who you are as an educator. You know what you want to expect from your children. You understand the vision, the mission, the values, the wants and needs of the communities. And as a superintendent, it's not my district. It's not my money. It is not my schools. It is Marlin's districts, Marlin's district, Marlin's kids, Marlin's school, and Marlin's money. And I'm just a person who's blessed to sit in this chair and make everyone and dream that they have come to fruition.
Man, this is powerful, man. Look, this is the way to end it right here. I'm gonna throw a couple of comments up right here. This is Miss Precious Grant. I actually began my teaching career in Asheville, North Carolina, and I met this lovely lady right here. She's passionate about education. She was on the school board, I think, at one particular point. So thank you for joining right here. Dr. Henson, man, I appreciate you coming on. If I can get a couple of, I'm gonna end the show right here. 3 to 5 minutes of your time. I'm gonna close this out, and quick conversation. So thank you so much for joining Transforming Lives podcast show, and look forward to your future and mine as well.